Hey everybody, how's it going? Today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Ableton 11 racks, performance synth, performance rack. What are they? How do you use them? And I think you're going to see they're pretty rad. And for me, it enhanced my workflow for sound design and creative idea generation. So I just wanted to share that with you today. And as always, we have our socials. We have Twitch, Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, all the things that put out music and notifications about when we're streaming and stuff like that. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy the video and thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to pick a synth. You can pick any. You can pick, like, I'm going to use Vital, which is a free wavetable synthesizer. There's also, you can use Massive, Pigments, Serum, Ableton's own like wavetable operator. You can pretty much use anything, and you'll see the ideas that they're gonna present themselves here. So let's go ahead and pick a synth. Like I said, I'm gonna use Vital, so let's go ahead and just drop Vital in here. And we can make this full screen so it looks nicer. All right, so we have Vital. Coolio. Let's turn on some other oscillators here. We're gonna turn on the noise. We'll turn on the filters. One of the nice things is the two filters, which is pretty sweet. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to take Vital. We're going to just group it. Use the key command. It's different if you're on Windows versus a Mac. So just go ahead and do that. And then what we're going to have is we're going to have this view that you're used to seeing, right? 8 macro knobs, a plugin or an Ableton stop plugin to do synthesis with. So now what we're going to want to do, and this is one thing to think about, right, is the idea of what you're going to map. You can think about it a little bit, but definitely experiment and try different variations because you're going to get different results, which is really cool. So let's go into here. We're going to configure it, and we're going to click on some things. Let's oscillator 1's level, oscillator 2's level, oscillator 1's wavetable position, same for oscillator 2. LFO, we're going to do what mode it's in, and then we'll also do the frequency, and then we'll also do that with LFO2, and the tempo, and then we're going to go over here to the cutoff. I'm just going to do cutoff. You can do the resolution, which in Vital is this vertical bar, but I'm just going to do this, right? So how many is that? We have more than our macros will allow right now, but that's okay because we're in Ableton 11. So sweet, sweet, sweet. Another thing, always ADSR. That's my jams right there. Oscillator amount. I don't think that was a thing, so let's just delete that. Okay, so we have basically our parameters that we're going to map. So normally this all looks familiar like this right here. You know, you got your different macros and stuff. But with Ableton 11, what's really nice is you now can add, right? And they add, and you can add up to 16. You can add more macros now. So what's nice is, but pay attention to how they load, right? So it's like they add to the end, but then this macro 5 will go up here if I add one. So just note, if you have previous existing racks that you're going to add to, how these things will shift around. It should be fine, but, you know, just something to pay attention to. So let's just start mapping these things. First things I always map for just sound design purposes is going to be ADSR, right? Which is attack, decay, sustain, and release. So let's do that. We're going to have our attack here. We'll have our decay, sustain, release, right? And let's go to, I like to group my oscillators together. And what I mean by that is if oscillator 1 has LFO1 attached to it, kind of grouping all the effects that each oscillator has in just groups. That's just a preference. You don't have to do it. But I like to do it because it just helps me just think of things and keep things organized. Okay, let's try this. Okay, sync type. Boom. Okay, then we got LFO1's tempo. So now let's go to oscillator 2. Right here. The wavetable position. Sync type. And the tempo. And then we're going to have filter 1 and filter 2. Okay, so now if we look at this, and I just like to do this, right? ADSR right here. So now And if we play these right, we can change the sounds. Let's go ahead and turn this down a little bit. And this is a wavetable, so we don't have, it's just a full wave. So let's just make something different real quick. And don't worry about this. This is just purely Vital stuff. So this is just for sound generation right now. So we can just clean this all up right here. Ooh, okay. Let's make a sine wave here. Ooh, that's not, all right. Close enough, right? And then we can move to, okay, cool. Let's do that. So now we have this, let's turn this noise level. Okay, effects. What's this track volumes at? There we go. Let's do that. Okay, go back into Vital. Okay, cool. So now if we move, you know, these knobs, you'll see things are changing. Let's make a little plucky guy and some, right? We can turn down the different oscillators, right? The sync type, you'll see that the sync type is changing right here. So yeah, that's nifty. And what's nice about this, though, in a performance setting for performance racks, is the idea to be able to dial in stuff when you're playing live. You can do this for sound design as well. That also works. In my personal experience, I'm using these things for playing live, and the idea is to get the most out of your CPU, right? Because latency and everything is a real problem. So having a synthesizer having a virtual synthesizer get as close to a hardware synthesizer in terms of control is kind of basically what I'm trying to achieve here, right? Because on a hardware synth, you can change presets and all that kind of stuff pretty easily without having to use a keyboard and mouse and dive in. And a lot of times when I'm playing live, I don't look at my computer. So to have these controls mapped out is really, like, really nice. So this is cool, right? So, yeah, that's kind of nice. Sure. And let's bring up the, let's do the second one here, second oscillator. Change the octaves here. Let's just go to right, and this thing's wavetable position doesn't matter because it's just the same. It's the same wave. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay. So now that we have this is pretty neat. So you can have it like mapped to your push, or if you have any kind of controllers, you can just basically map these the way you normally would. But another new feature of Ableton 11 racks is this little button right here, right? And this is really key. This is the key right here. So what it does is it allows, it opens up a new window. It's called macro variations. Really, macro variations, you can just kind of maybe look at it as like a preset, but it really is just a variation of these knobs, right? So let's just turn this up. Let's make a real like kind of pad style synth. It's up, and then the LFO type. Let's make it. No, let's just go to a sync. Oh, dirk. And now what we do is we map the LFO to the wavetable. Sorry. Okay. And then we have our filters right over here. And filter 2 is going to the second oscillator. You can see it right here. Again, this is Vital stuff. So the real key thing here is this rack. So say we like this. Super awesome. Now what you can do is you can click New, and there's this variation. You can rename the variations, call it Pad Synth Demo 1, or I guess 2. Is that 2? 1. Okay, so now if we do anything like this, right? This up. Bring up LFO2 we're not really using right now. Okay, this is the position. Okay. So now one of the things that's really, really nice about this is now that you have these things mapped, if you can see, let me move this. The real nice thing is this new feature right here, which is random. And basically all it does is it randomizes every single value of these macros, and it does obey parameter mapping. So if you're in your MIDI mappings and you do something to a controller, You can limit it in here. You can also do the, where is it? There's another place to limit it. But yeah, so you can limit it and it'll obey within those bounds of the parameter min and parameter max that you want. So this is really nice. So now if we hit random, so it just randomizes all these parameters, right? Let's do it again. Okay. That's pretty nice. Let's do that. And so right here, we just go to new, and now we can call wobble pad, right? And then right from there, we can just click on this, and we're back at our original Pad Synth Demo 1. And now we go back to our wobble pad. Right, and so this is really, really cool in my opinion, because it used to be that you would have to, like, you know, open it up and then maybe go to, like, you know, some presets or whatever. But this requires using a mouse and a keyboard, which is not super handy if your hands are all kinds of busy flying over controllers and stuff like that. Or if you're just kind of sitting down and, you know, doing some sound design and stuff like that. It's really nice to kind of have these things abstracted out a level so you can just play with them in an easier manner and not have to look at the interface for the synth, right? So we can just close this. And again, just hit the random again. Sometimes you look at the parameters too, because if you don't hear anything right away, I mean, it's probably usually because the attack's really high. So it has a slow, long ramp. Okay. So that's one thing you can do. And it's really, really handy. And what's really nice is that if you look, and on my theme, because it is kind of dark, but when you go to map, there's actually extra sets of controls here, which is basically select a preset, go up and down in the preset or macro variation area here. So, and then this selects a specific one. So actually, if we do this, you can see the tooltips here. Yeah, so you can do a scroll wheel to go through the variations, and last jumps to the last sequence. But now, what I'm going to do is bring in a instance of Vital rack that I've already made. So let's just go ahead and do that. So now I have a project where I have like my mappings and stuff that I saved as a Vital Performance Rack wavetable. So what this one actually does is it actually manually lets me mess with the wavetable versus having it auto mapped and then just controlling the frequency. Again, you know, play with these things because it's really interesting when you do hit random and you have 16 macros, what it actually comes up with. If there's something like that doesn't sound good to you, go ahead and change it, you know, doesn't hurt, right? Like I was playing with Unison on random features and it was when it went random, it went fully random, and Unison on random can be kind of crazy sounding. So yeah, so I have right here, I have a MIDI Fighter Twister that I already have mapped through a remote script. If you're interested in that, go ahead and leave a comment and ask me about that. But yeah, you can see right here. So if I turn this knob right here, it's mapped to the attack, which you can see. Let's see right here. Like you can see this moving when I turn this knob, right? Standard mappings. But now, let's turn on this keyboard here. And we have our kind of like just a few presets, macro variations that I've made. So let's go ahead and just like play some keys here. So you can turn these up. And then this is mapped to oscillator level 1. Let's bring in that oscillator. We got the cutoffs right here. Let's actually bring open Vital so you can see what's happening. And again, like I said, you can use pigments, Massive, Serum, any synthesizer, anything will basically work. I mean, hell, you could even do it like if you have like a drum rack that has like macro knobs, you can do that and then basically just randomize stuff and see what pops out. It's really about the random and the ability to save presets. But what's nice though is also mapped here and here are the ability to, if you look right here, to move through these things. So on my controller itself, I can move through these different presets I made, right? So let's and then I have this button, so it's a push button. So the MIDI Fighter Twister has knobs, but the knobs also have an indent feature which acts as a button. So on this one, let's go ahead and go to Big Morph, so we can hear our sound. Let's load up Big Morph, and now if we play this, all right, just a little. And these control the oscillator volumes, these 3 knobs, and then you can turn off the oscillators. Like for example, second oscillator is not on, I have it mapped. So now we have the second oscillator on. There is a little bug with Vital with this. You can see that the oscillator's on, but it's grayed out. But I mean, if you just click on it, I think it's expecting a mouse click, not a button push. But so now we can turn down these, right? And so this is what I'm talking about with a performance rack. So we can tweak these sounds. So let's just make like a pluck. Right, and then as I'm going through here, let's open up the filters. And then what's nice is the way that I have the buttons mapped. So move up, move down through the macro variations, select a specific macro variation, and then I have randomize mapped to here. So you can map these things, which is really great, right? You can map the random. So every time I push this button, random. Really slow attack. Let's turn that down. And if you're like, hey, cool, I like it, this button right here on the MIDI Fighter Twister is mapped to create a new one. But let's find one that sounds pretty different. Okay. That's too long of an attack. Okay, that kind of sounds like an organ, right? And then, so if you watch over here, and this is like, you can imagine while you're performing, or even if you're just doing some sound design or trying to write a song, this is just kind of handy. I'm like, oh man, I like that. So then I have this button right here mapped to create a new entry. So as you can see now, I just push the button and there's a variation now. So now if I go back to my standard, and then if I go down, just all using my MIDI Fighter Twister, but you can use any controller. I mean, you know, it's just MIDI mapping. And then we select the variation. Right? And so you can start to see that you get some really like fun controls. And the way that I've been looking at it a little bit is like a lot of these synths have great presets, but again, not looking at the computer is what I tend to do a bit. And so having just all these controls mapped, really handy, and to be able to go through, you know, let's go to a pluck. Go right here and now. My synth has changed, so it's getting the most out of your synths, right? Which is what I try to do, because computing power is limited, right? And in an ever-expanding world of memory-hungry synthesizers and latency. Latency is a real game. But yeah, so I thought this was pretty cool. And then just change it, right? Let's go to our variation here. Nope. Let's go to light morph. So yeah, you can kind of get the idea and start to see, which is nice. One of the downsides to this, though, a little bit, is if you have like a ton of macro variations, you better remember what position you're at, because like a lot of times my monitors go to sleep and so I can't see the screen. But there are the buttons, like I said, where you can map these things, and you can see that I have these mapped right here. But you can actually just jump to the last one and then just start referencing stuff. But yeah, I was pretty pumped about this, and I've been playing around with it for a while. I've had Ableton 11 since October 2020, and I've just been seeing what different kinds of things it can do. But when I kind of stumbled upon the racks, I knew there was more buttons, but I heard some about the macro variations. It wasn't until I started playing with it that I really kind of saw the power. And this random thing is just fun. Let's just do another one. Let's just see. Again, long attack. And you can, like I said, you can prevent these long attacks by specifying a parameter range, right? So if there's like attack like all the way up, you know, to like 127, you don't want that. It'll, you know, you can limit it to something like 72. You can do all the stuff that you would normally do in Ableton, but just now you can have these like these macro variations, which is super handy. So that's kind of what I wanted to show and go over and stuff, and show that with some straight up like just simple MIDI mappings, you can really start to create a really rich performance rack for yourself, whether you're doing sound design, studio work, performing live, or just like jamming at home or jamming with a friend. It's really, really handy. And I have these, but you're only limited by 16 macro knobs. But really, like whatever you want to map, if you want to map like effects on and off, do that. Like you can do anything and map them. So that's really cool. And then with the random functionality, just be able to kind of like stumble upon ideas for, creative idea generation is really nice. I think one of the things that I would like to see next, and I've written on the Ableton beta forums, is the ability to control that when these things switch, how quickly they switch to their new positions, like almost like a morph speed, or if you will, like macro glide, portamento, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I want to show you today, and I just want to say thank you for watching. I'm on Twitch, and I stream usually on Mondays and Thursdays around like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. start time, depending, Pacific Standard Time. But yeah, so come by and feel free to ask questions. I'm also in a whole bunch of different Discords. So if you see me out there, if you have questions, come by and say hello. Yeah, if you have any questions or you have ideas, please leave a comment. I would love to have a discussion about this because I think this is really cool. And I just wanted to share that with you. So thank you for coming, and